Hi guys, this is going to be a VR to Spirit Smoker on his 100 sub giveaway. First of all, the housework or housekeeping, or I'm smoking a B&B number 27, and in it I've got Peterson's Sherlock Holmes mixture. First of all, I want to congratulate Spirit Smoker on his 100 giveaway. I remember how I felt when I'd got 100 people following me, and he's worked hard on his videos and really enjoys putting them up, and they're a joy to watch. He's asked 3 questions. How did you start smoking is one of them. Well, I'm quite odd because a lot of you, I think, have started from an adult giving you the impetus, maybe your father or your grandfather or that kind of thing. Whereas I'm the opposite. I started smoking under the influence of my son. Wolf Valley boy. He's always been a bad influence on his father. I mean, you know, I used to be a priest, and then, you know, I came under his proclivities, but Tim started smoking, and I was going through one of my regular changes in my lifestyle, in that I'd stopped going to church, I'd stopped God bothering. I'm an agnostic, I think, at heart. If there is a God, well, he knows where to find me. And if there is a God, you know, well, I'll find out. But Tim had started smoking, and putting up videos to the community, and I started to watch them. I started to look at some of the other videos. I'd given up smoking about 20 or more years ago, 30 years ago. I used to smoke a pipe when Tim was young, but I really didn't know what I was doing. You know, so I wasn't very successful at it. But I talked it over with my wife because it's a big decision, and I know she has strong feelings about smoking, as I had. But I sort of talked to her about it and said, would she mind if I started smoking a pipe? And she said no, that she didn't mind. So I got a pipe and some tobacco, and Tim sent me some tobacco and samples. I got some samples from a tobacconist's, and a blend called Mr. Sardorian's blend, which I have the recipe for, because the shop were not allowed to sell it anymore, and I'd realised how much I liked it. And I sort of got in touch with them and said, look, I've only just started smoking, I've just started liking this blend. You know, what can I do? And they said, well, we'll give you the recipe. And they did do. And then I asked them whether I could share the recipe with other people, and they said yes. And then gradually I got sort of into the pipe smoking community. I was on Facebook at one time and some of the pipe channels on there, and Twitter and that kind of thing, but I've stopped those. I just want to sort of cut down on what I'm on, and to be honest, watching all your videos takes a lot of time. You ask where I smoke. Well, again, I discussed it with Carolyn and said that I would smoke outside if she wanted, and she said, no, you know, it's your hobby, we're a family, we're married, you know, and it's only right that you share the house with me, and you have every right to do what you want in the house. And I agreed that I wouldn't smoke cigars in the house because she really doesn't like cigar tobacco, it smells. And I said if there were any blends that I had that she didn't like, she was to say. But that doesn't seem to have happened. And usually Carolyn sits in her chair doing her hobbies, and I sit in this chair putting up videos and viewing all your videos, and that's when I smoke the most. I think when I'm watching your videos I tend to smoke with you. It feels that I'm not alone, because with moving all around the country and retiring up to here where we knew only one person, who funnily enough is an American friend who came over to England and really can't afford to go back to America. I think he'd love to go back, but he travels around and goes home occasionally to sort of see to things, and also he goes up to a cottage in Manitoulin Island on one of the lakes, and he's sort of friends with people I knew down south. That's how we came to know Joe. But I actually feel that I've made cyber friends, people that mean a great deal to me. A lot of you on the community I consider more than acquaintances. I feel I've got to know some of you very well, even if you don't realise just how much you mean to me. I haven't found anybody that I don't like yet. I keep looking, but not yet. You know, people like Tennessee Ball, who I really like his humour, I like his stories. Mutton Chop Piper, simply just because I learned so much from his channels. Joshua of the Woods means a great deal to me. We'll never meet, I don't think, or be unlikely. But I feel to a certain extent that he's a similar spirit to me. It may seem strange, me being a sort of Englishman stuck over here, living in the suburbs of a city and not being an outdoors man, really. But it's more about that. It's more, for me, very early on, as soon as I took up the pipe, I realised that it was a spiritual thing for me. That it put me in touch with a deeper spiritual thing. I'm not saying it's God. I'm saying that there's this great spirit that is beginning to affect my life greatly. And of course, 1972 Woodsmen. What first attracted me to him was his skill at being able to turn his hand to anything, I think. I'm thinking of inviting him over to build us a house in the woods, but no. And again, there's a great depth of spirituality there. His Christian spirituality shouts out, really, and so does a lot of you. And I feel that I'm accepted just for what I am, whether I actually come back to a conventional view of God or not. So that's where, and when I smoke is sort of, I tend not to smoke in the morning. I tend to smoke afternoon and evening. Well, occasionally in the morning. And occasionally I smoke an odd cigar. And I think that's sort of about it. I prefer to smoke bigger pipes than this. I tend to smoke sort of cobs, the Cobbit type. And also I've got an Ording pipe that I've got a long stem for as well as a short stem. And I enjoy smoking that. My beard's a lot shorter than it used to be. It used to sort of come down to about there, and then like an idiot I cut it. So I'm trying to grow that back now. And the other thing about the Cobbit is that I suppose part of my love of smoking, like many of you, is also linked with the Lord of the Rings and pipeweed. The final sort of question that you asked is, what do I smoke? I tend to smoke English blends or Oriental, Balkan or a very Oriental blends. I really love them. But I smoke anything really. I tend not to like Lakeland blends, partly because I can't get the bloody things to stay alight. But some of the flakes I really enjoy. I also like what used to be some of the older blends, or the older names. They've changed now, but you know, I still think of Baby's Bottom rather than BB, whatever it is. I still think of one called Players No Name, which I really like to smoke. Three Nuns, and there were blends in about the 50s and 60s when my step-grandfather smoked. And he used to have me stood at his knee, and he'd ask me riddles, and he'd ask me questions. He was a self-taught man. He was a wherry captain. The wherries are trading vessels, or they were, that sailed the Norfolk Broads. And he had quite a famous wherry, James and John, I think it was called. But I'd have to look it up to make sure. Both my stepfather and my step-grandfather were very big men, very strong men. But he was a very intelligent man. He used to write for the local paper. He used to write letters to the paper. Whenever he sort of felt strongly about something, he'd dash off a letter. He sort of looked a bit like H.G. Wells, you know, and that kind of thing. But anyway, I shall stop there because I've gone on for 15 minutes. There was a rabbi who was a bit worried because the local Roman Catholic Church had a great congregation, you know, it was growing like mad. So he asked one of his congregation to go to the Catholic Church, a guy called Jaime. And Jaime said, Rabbi, I couldn't go, you know, I'll be ritually unclean. And the rabbi said, well, don't worry, I'll do a cleansing ritual for you. But we've got to find out what's going there. So Jaime trottles off to the Roman Catholic Church. And the rabbi doesn't see him again for weeks. And he actually sees him walking down the road. And he calls him over and says, Jaime, come, you know, come and talk to me. And he said, we haven't seen you for a while. He said, are you going to the Catholic Church? And he said, oh, God, no. And he said, I was so shocked by it. He said, I haven't been able to go anywhere. So he said, well, what sort of shocked you about it? Why are you so upset? And he said, well, it's like this, Rabbi. There are all sorts of strange things going on there. The priest had a handbag that was on fire on the Sunday I went, and he kept swinging it around, and there was smoke everywhere. And but what really shocked me is there was gambling. And the rabbi said, gambling? He said, yes. The Roman Catholic priest stood up, and he said, I lay you at 4-3, I beat you at dominoes. And there were two little blokes going down the aisles taking side bets.